Welcome to this week's teaching raid. This week we are doing Riding the Storm Out, which is one of DDO's newer raids. And if you've never watched any of these events before, this is a program that we've been doing on Sarlona, which my guild has been hosting, the High Lords of Malkier. This is our 5th year now, and these are events for newer players or people that, even veteran players that just haven't maybe run the raid that we're doing or still learning it, or maybe they ran it a handful of times and don't really understand the raid. And so we're reaching out to all those folks out there. I was surprised to learn not long ago that only a small percentage of DDO's community actually raids, that most people don't raid, and there's all kinds of reasons why people don't raid. Some of them are intimidated, some of them feel like their skills or maybe their gear aren't good enough. Some of them had bad experiences with raids and they were just turned off. And so we're reaching out to all those folks and teaching them how these raids work in a friendly, low-stress environment that's focused on learning the mechanics of the raid. So we have a bunch of newer folks signed up. Some of them are going to be newer players, like I said. Some of them are going to be longtime players that just haven't run this raid yet. It's a kind of a newer raid, and it can be difficult to find a good pug for riding the storm out. So I know I've got one person that said they've done it like 4 times, and they wiped like 3 of those times and completed once and didn't really understand what was going on. So that's just one example of one of the kinds of people that we have for this. So I'm going to take a few minutes to get the folks that are signed up in here. I have a bunch of my guildies and a friend here to help out to make it a smooth run, but now I'm going to get the people that are signed up to learn it in here. So if you're watching the live stream, you've got at least 5 minutes before the action gets started. My attention is going to be focused on the folks that are here in the raid, but I'm also going to be watching the live chat and answering questions, because I know there are people from other servers watching that are learning along with us. This is the 2nd year we've been live streaming these events, and it's been a lot of fun. Okay, I'm going to get the newbies in here. Running a little bit late. Hi, Battery, welcome. Hi, Kill, welcome.
Howdy, everybody.
Welcome, Braves. Welcome, Dito. We've got one more person signed up. Let's see if I can find that person. Hey, quick welcome. We are gathering in the marketplace by the fountain in front of the bank, which is where the entrance is. Welcome again, everybody. Some folks here have never attended one of our teaching raids before, and usually these are events that I have folks sign up ahead of time for, but we actually had pretty low sign-ups ahead of time this week, so I posted the LFM, and some of you saw that and are just sort of joining last minute. So if you are not aware, these are events that the High Lords are hosting every single week, typically every Saturday. We're doing a different raid or raids each week, and it's all meant for new players that are just learning the raids or just getting into the raiding scene, or even longtime veteran players who maybe just haven't done that raid that we're doing that week and want to learn it. And these are meant to be, just instructional learning events, a low stress learning environment where we're focused on teaching you the mechanics of how the raid works. And at any point during the event tonight, if you have any questions, just ask, and interrupt me if you want to, because otherwise I'm just going to keep going. A lot of these raids have a lot of little information that I like to include. And there are some folks here that have never attended one of our teaching raids before, so really happy to have you guys. Before we start, and I think I mentioned this to everybody, but want to make sure because it's really, really important, that we're going to be encountering a lot of electrical damage. Lightning strikes continuously throughout this raid. So it's really important we have good electrical damage mitigation. It's clutch in this raid. It's one of the most important things. So if you have access to it, twist in the energy sheath, the electrical version from Draconic Incarnation. And in addition to that, also have an electrical absorption item like a Ring of the Djinn, like a Prismatic Cloak, or you can get randomly generated items as well with the descriptors electrical absorption or insulated. You can also Caneth craft electrical absorption. Storm in a bottle, that's a new one.
Yeah, I got that in the trade when I ran Strahd. I don't know, I can use it, so I'll pop it in. It's 45 resistant on everything, so it's pretty nice.
Well, that's okay, so that's a resistance item. So it's what you really want to have in here is an absorption item, because 45 resistance really isn't going to do a whole lot in here. When you're taking bolts of lightning constantly, they're doing hundreds and hundreds of damage, potentially, over 1,000, because there's like a debuff in here, a vulnerability debuff that keeps stacking up, and if you let that stack up, then you can get struck by a lightning bolt for 1,200-1,500 points of damage. So if you don't have that twisted in, do that now. If you need to check the auction house for an electrical absorption item, you can do that now. We're just going to do the raid on normal, so if you need to pause your bravery bonus, you can go ahead and do that now. Take a few minutes to do that. No, there is a way to remove the stacking vulnerability, and that's inside the raid. I'll show you how to do that when we get there. It's one of the most important things about this raid, is knowing how and constantly removing your electrical absorption. I also want to let everybody know that we are live streaming this event. This is the 5th year that the High Lords of Malkir have been doing these teaching raids. We do them in the winter and spring, and we've done videos of the events before. Last year was the first year we actually started live streaming them. So we are live streaming this, and there are people from other servers watching us right now and learning along with us. Only got a handful of people watching right now, and there probably won't be more than about 25 or 30 people watching at any given time. So it's not like we're being watched by tons of people. But does anybody have any questions before we get started? I also want to know, for the people watching the live stream, is there anybody that's new to this? You've never done this before, or maybe you've done it before, but it didn't go well and you didn't really understand it. My guildie thinks he's being funny. And by the way, about half of the group are my guildies that are here to help out, to help make things a smooth run. And about half the group are folks that are signed up or here to learn the raid. So I'm that kind of person that will sit there and remind people 17 times to twist in energy sheath and then forget to do it myself. But I'm remembering. I almost stepped in there without doing it, but okay, I'm not gonna need sacred ground so much in this raid. If folks could link their electrical absorption items, I just want everybody to see, what others are using, just so everybody has ideas. I actually like to use, in addition to energy sheath, I like to use legendary green steel. And that actually has 2 tiers of electrical absorption. I also crafted a belt that has 3 tiers of electrical resistance, which I did just for this raid. And if things tend to be going really poorly, I also have an old school Kenneth crafted item that I like to use. Ring of the Jinn's a good one. We do have one person, it looks like, that's still looking for an electrical absorption item, so we'll get started in just a minute. If you guys want to go refill your drinks or something now real quick, go for it, and we'll get started in just a minute. And sorry again for the delay tonight, I was running a little bit behind, trying to get some last minute sign-ups going. Hey Laurel Elliott, welcome. Silver Hilt from Kenneth, cool, glad to have you guys. Rarely gets run. Yeah, we actually started leading this one as a public event on Friday nights. And it's not a teaching raid, but we are happy to take in new folks and explain it. And part of the reason we do this one as a teaching raid is because, it's hard. It doesn't get run a lot. It doesn't get pugged out a lot, and when it does, it can be difficult to find a good group. Dido, I'm not sure I understand your question because I linked it and that's exactly what it had. You're sending me tells about, is it that item? It's got, the first tier is intelligence, the second tier is 30% absorption, and the third tier is 35% absorption.
Yeah, I can't see it. Clearly.
I think so. Yeah. I think it's like 20% absorption or something. Yep. And for those of you who are not aware, absorption sort of, you can have multiple absorption items, but they don't stack in a traditional way. So here's how it works with all absorption items. That if you have two of the same number, like two 25% absorption items, they will not, only one of them will apply. But if you have two different numbers, like on my green steel I have 30 and 35%, they will work. I think it's called multiplicatively. Maybe that might be might not be the right term. But one is applied, and after the one is applied, then the next one is applied. So a 30 and a 35 doesn't equal 65% absorption. It is 35% of the damage removed, and then from whatever is left over, 30% of that is removed, and then if you had another absorption item, etc., etc. So multiple absorption items don't stack additively, but they will work in conjunction as long as they're not the same percentage. Okay, let's go ahead and step in. The entrance to this raid is the NPC Dalwyneth, Envoy of Arganessen. We are just doing normal. Gather in the center by this dead giant skeleton. Don't bother buffing yet because they're There's actually a couple puzzles we have to do, and there's no real reason to buff until everybody's here and we get the puzzles done. Yeah, green steel absorption can only be crafted onto a weapon. So if you were to craft the same kind of shard onto, or the same configuration of a shard onto an item, you would get resistance. And so like the belt that I crafted earlier, or that I linked earlier, has resistance on it. And it's not that I went out of my way to have that. Like I said, resistance isn't as valuable as absorption here. It's just that it worked for, I wanted to make a triple opposition belt, and those were available options, and I was like, well, that'll work for RSO, so why not? But I'm probably not going to include that belt as part of my gear set for very much longer. Okay, we're just missing Torneal. That's my guildie, and so he said he'd be right back, and he already knows how to run this raid. So before we get started, I want to know who has literally never run this raid, and who has run it before, but maybe only a few times, and you're still learning it.
I've completed this raid once.
Okay. Cool. And, there are some raids you can do a dozen times and still not have a really good idea of what's going on. I feel like I...
Hey, it was with the wolf pack too, so that's like super kudos.
That's funny because I think they may have learned this raid from us.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Lino's a great guy. I love him.
But yeah, I think I ran an Epic Von 5.6 2 dozen times back in the day before I had any clue what was happening in there. Oh, you can just use the volume slider now, Dito. In case you're not aware of that feature. You are a little bit loud, Kill, but not super loud. No big deal.
I'll try not to talk.
It's all good, dude. Happy to have you. Hey BNVP, welcome. Got some folks watching from other servers that have never run this either. Very cool. Alright, so there are 2 puzzles here in the starting room. You can look to the left and right, and they have to be completed in order to advance. Once those puzzles are done, it locks the raid. Nobody else can step in. This starting room here is a safe room. You can always detour back here at any point in the raid, and you really have all the time in the world. There's no sense of urgency at any point in this raid. And so if you ever have a bad things are happening, you just sort of need to regroup and grab soul stones and get rebuffed and get everybody raised, you can always just detour back here, and like I said, you have all the time in the world in this raid. There's no time limit, there's no failure condition, etc. So, for those that are new, please step over to the left puzzle over here. It's really good for you to learn how to do these puzzles because there's literally about 20 of them throughout this raid, and they all have to be done. They're very easy, but if you're in an instance where like everybody's just standing around waiting for everybody else to do the puzzles, it can just make things take a lot longer, and if people just jump on the puzzles and do them, it can help make things go quicker. So this is a very simple Simon Says puzzle. It's the same kind of puzzle that's in Newcomers, one of the side quests that came out with this pack. But here's how it works. You pull the lever on the bottom, and it's going to flash a sequence of 3 lights. And what a lot of people find helpful is just to remember this 3x3 grid like the number pad on your phone, and just sort of say the corresponding numbers along with it to help you remember. So like that was 8, 7, 7. And if you get that right, it'll flash a sequence of 4 lights. So that's 3, 1, 1, 6. 3, 1, 1, 6. And then it'll flash a sequence of 5 lights. So that's 3, 1, 7, 8, 1. 3, 1, 7, 8. And I'm going to mess it up. And it just starts over. If you mess it up, it just resets and you have to pull the lever again and start over. If you successfully do the 3, 4, and 5 sequences. That completes the puzzle. And then some of the puzzles exist in pairs, like this pair here in the start. And when they exist in pairs, they have to be done within about a minute of each other, otherwise they'll automatically reset. But what you can do in the case, like sometimes you're in a situation where one person has to do the pair. Maybe everybody else is in a different part of the raid and you're stuck doing a pair of them. What you can do is just do the whole thing and leave the last one not touched, and it will never time out as long as you're in the middle of a sequence. And so they'll just leave they know the last number is 7 to hit, they leave it, they go to the other one, finish the other one, then just come back in here and hit the 7. But I would like, let's see, is Torneal in yet? Yes, he is. I would like the new folks to go ahead and try these. We're not in a rush, so don't feel stressed, just give it a try. And there's another puzzle on the other side, so if you're new, go ahead and grab it. And if you don't get a chance to do one now, don't worry, there are plenty later. But on the other side, guys, if you're new, just go over there and try that one. Syax, you have some fans that are saying hello on the live stream. Some folks that watched you on the Reaper Life series. Good job, Kill.
Yeah, I've done these 100 times on newcomers.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, it is done, and now the raid is locked. Nobody can enter the raid now. So at this point, we want to go ahead and buff up, and basically throughout the entire raid, outside of this room, you want to have your energy sheath on. So go ahead and turn that on now, and you're going to hear me, all of us remind you to put your energy sheath on throughout the raid. It's uber important. It's like I said, we'll be taking electrical damage, getting struck by lightning throughout most of the raid. But I do want to emphasize, like I said, there's no sense of urgency in this raid. And the constant lightning strikes can make this raid seem stressful. But in a sense, it's all sort of smoke and mirrors. As long as you have adequate electrical damage mitigation, which is clutch, and you should have that before you even come in here, then all the lightning strikes are really no big deal. But if you're walking around here with 650 hit points and you don't have energy sheath and you don't have an absorption item, yeah, then you're going to get one shot by the lightning constantly, and it's going to be miserable and seem really stressful. But if you have adequate electrical damage mitigation, you can essentially ignore the lightning strikes. So there's 3 things about this raid that are uber clutch, that if you can get your groups to do these 3 things, you're probably going to be good to go. I mean, there's more to the raid than that, but there's 3 things that are uber important. And the first is to have adequate electrical damage mitigation before you step in here, and the other 2 things I'll mention when we get to them. Okay. Let's go. Click on the shimmery green thing there to go into the rest of the raid. Alright, don't kill anything yet, guys. You can look up and see the dragon up there and a cool stormy looking thing. There's a bunch of trash running over at us. A bunch of giant skeletons. We are lucky to have a cleric that can turn this stuff. And that makes it a lot easier to deal with the trash in this raid. So the cleric's going to turn that stuff. And we're going to pull the king back. He's red named, so he can't be turned. And we're going to pull him back into the starting area. And the reason why we want to pull him back is because there are going to be other trash mobs that can spawn in there, and if they wander over to us, they can sort of regenerate or heal themselves when they're close to each other. So we want to make sure that the king is away from any other mobs that could spawn. And if you didn't have a turning cleric, you would need to separate him out from that other trash that we saw. So Intimidate's great for that. Because like I said, if the trash mobs, even trash mobs near other trash mobs, they'll they'll heal each other, making it literally impossible to kill them. So you do need to separate out all trash. Okay, go ahead and go into the arena, and there are 2 collectibles underneath the main platform. Help yourself to those. Here there's going to be trash mobs that spawn. Wide stick will be able to turn most of them, but the priests are red names, so if there's a priest, we do have to kill that. I mean, we don't have to kill it, but it gets it out of the way. So we want to kill it. Like there's a priest right over there in the east. Priest in the east, so go ahead and kill that. Now here there are 3 pairs of puzzles, and each pair has to be done within a minute of itself, just like the starting pair, in the north, east, and west. So I'd like the new folks to go ahead and grab a puzzle and do it, and the High Lords can work on trash. Or if you see a puzzle that needs to be done, go ahead and do it. Wide stick, please.
You got to do them on both sides?
Yeah, so each pair, so like the pair in the north and the pair in the east and the pair in the west has to be done within a minute of itself. But not all 3 pairs have to be done within a minute of each other, just each pair by itself. So you can do a pair and then move on to the next pair and then move on to the next pair. Costas, I see your question about Voodoo's gear. I have made notes about what Ravenloft gear I'd like to use, but I don't think I'm going to be making any changes to my gear right now. And just like see my gear notes on my build post to see why. My guildie Nimvind in the chat is asking all kinds of silly questions because he's trying to be funny. Nimvind, who was in the Reaper Life series and actually appears in lots of my videos. Okay, let's not do the north pair yet. It's not done yet. I just want to explain a couple more mechanics of the raid. So first, I want you to take a look at the map right now. Open up the map if you're new. This is the entire raid, other than that starting room. There are no other zones. So you can see there's like an arena in the middle, and around the outside is a bunch of ruins. And once we finish this arena part, we're gonna start by going out to the east and heading to the southeast ruins. And we're basically gonna be working in a big counterclockwise circle. And we're going to be like opening up puzzle areas and doing those puzzles and just moving to the next ruins and doing the same opening puzzles, doing puzzles, working all the way around until all the puzzles are done, and then we come back here for the final fight. So that's the whole raid. If you look above the puzzles right now, you'll see that there are like runes swirling around. They're like light blue in color. And when the puzzle's done, there'll also be another circle of yellow runes, much bigger circle of yellow runes. It's important to recognize those as the tells that the dragon that we're going to fight is about to do one of her special moves. So when those kinds of runes appear above the dragon, they mean a couple different things. When these light blue runes appear, it means she's going to put these circles down on the platform. And they look like big white targeting circles. And if you're in those circles, you're going to take electrical damage. So stay out of the circles. It really sucks when you get knocked down. You know, the dragon can knock you down. When you get knocked down in circles, that's going to happen. But this is the tell. She's going to put circles down. They last maybe 10, 15 seconds. Stay out of the circles. When she does the big yellow runes, and this is one of those clutch things, she's going to do like this AoE storm effect. And you're going to start stacking up electrical vulnerability when that happens. When she does the yellow runes, you can collapse on the dragon, basically getting under the dragon to shield yourself from that electrical storm. So you want, whenever the yellow runes happen, just everybody collapses on the dragon, and you can back out as soon as those yellow runes are gone, which is like maybe 10 seconds. Alright, let's go ahead and get these puzzles done. And like I said, there's no sense of urgency throughout the entire raid. We're not getting struck by lightning right now. We have all the time in the world. But let's go ahead and get these puzzles done. Let's get everybody on puzzles. That one totally lagged out. And I didn't get to see it. So that's 4, 9, 8. And I just repeat that. 4, 9, 8. Now I got that right. It's going to do 4 numbers. Or 4 lights. So that's 5, 4, 3, 9. 5, 4, 3, 9. 6, 9, 4, 6, 8. 6, 9, 4, 6, 8. And the puzzle is done. Now this is one of the pairs. All pairs are done. Now we're going to take the air jets up to the top of the platform and fight a dragon, a blue dragon. Put your electrical or energy sheath on. There is a wind that's going to blow you to the south. Bolo's going to tank for us, by the way. So you have to compensate for that wind as you're riding the air jet up. See, blue dragon, if you don't know dragon lore, blue dragons shoot electricity, and they are also immune to electrical damage. I don't know if she has any kind of DR. Melees, can you tell me that?
Triple positives hit me with all good numbers. Bludgeoning looks like it's giving me full numbers.
Whenever I'm on Voodoo, if I'm not tanking, I'll just stick it on auto attack and stand to the side because I'm lazy. What we're doing right now is we're just going to beat the dragon down to 70% health, and then she's going to fly away and take a smoke break, and then we're going to do the rest of the raid. We got trash. It's going to be air elementals coming up. We want casters and ranged tunes to work on trash. The air elementals are one of many things that can knock you down and blow you around in this raid. Yellow runes, go ahead and collapse on the dragon. We're also getting the circle runes too. So the circles are coming up, stay out of the circles. You can back out of the dragon now that the yellow runes are away, but stay out of the circles. The dragon has quite a few different attacks. One of them is that what she just did, she shoots her breath weapon in like a 270-degree arc. So if you're worried about that, you should, and you're not tanking her, you should stand behind her. Yellow collapse.
Yep.
And you can go ahead and back out now. And she's taken her break. We can go ahead and jump down. And we're going to go to the east. So the first two clutch things, 1, electrical damage mitigation, 2, collapse on yellow runes. The third one is to clear your stacks of vulnerability. So when you go out to the east, look in your buff bar and you see you're going to have a buff called Storm Magic. It looks like the symbol for the spell Shocking Grasp. You can clear out, and that'll stack up to 20 times. You can clear out your electrical vulnerability by running over these runes. If you when we go to the east, there's a rune on the ground, and they're going to be all over the zone. Whenever you see a rune, just walk over it, and it'll clear your stacks out, provided there's not already somebody standing on it. You should generally not be hanging out on the runes. It's really, really important that you are constantly clearing out your stacks of vulnerability. If you let that stack up to 10 or more, it can start getting really painful, and if it stacks up to 20, you're probably going to be dead the next time you get struck by lightning. Like I said, as long as you have adequate damage mitigation, electrical damage mitigation, you're clearing your stacks, then the lightning's no big deal. So we're starting here in the southeast, and we're opening up puzzle chambers and doing puzzles, and we're going to work in a big circle. So everybody should be in the southeast corner right now. The trash, at least on normal, can generally be ignored. Our cleric is going to turn everything that's not a priest, and the priests actually won't follow us. So they can be killed, but usually, like when we're doing our guild raids, we just ignore them because they don't follow us. If you fall down into the ravines, sometimes it can be a little bit confusing finding your way out. But I want all the new folks to come over here to this rune that I'm jumping up and down on right now. Because I want to show you how you open up the puzzles. So if you look at the pillar in front of me, you'll see that it has 3 runes on it. And someone has to stand on the rune at the base of the pillar and allow themselves to get struck by lightning 3 times, and that will light up the 3 runes on this pillar, and that's what opens up the corresponding puzzle. Like this pillar here opens up the puzzle that's to the east. Go ahead and step on the rune if you need to clear your stacks. And then once it's open, it stays open, and then somebody can do that puzzle, and then everybody else can continue. So the first 2 puzzles are done in this corner, and we're going to continue to the north. Let's go ahead and go to the north, guys. Remember to walk over runes to clear your stacks. This next puzzle was already opened up by standing on this rune. You can see the 3 pillars on this, or 3 runes on this pillar, and this puzzle's already done. So we're going to keep going to the north, working in a big counterclockwise circle. Here's the next puzzle. It's not open yet. Don't forget to turn on your energy sheath. Bolo Grub is standing on the rune there at the base of that pillar to light up those runes. The third one just lit, so it's open. Thank you, Torneal, for doing that one. And everybody else can continue north. Don't forget to clear your stacks. Don't go across the bridge yet, because there's one more puzzle on the south side of the bridge. I said earlier there's a southern blowing wind. If you jump, it'll push you to the south. You want to get in the habit of not jumping in this raid, because that wind can blow you into places you don't want to be. It's kind of awkward to not jump, but like I said, you can get blown into these ravines like the ravine that's next to us. In fact, I want all the new folks to go ahead and jump down here where I am. Because eventually you're going to get blown down here, and I don't want you to panic because you can't find your way out. And there's a pillar, a rune pillar here that needs to be lit up, which already is done, but somebody has to come down here is the point. So if you ever fall down here, you have to go all the way to the other end of the ravine to get out. So like I said, it's kind of a pain in the butt to get out of some of these places, so you really want to try not to jump and get blown into them. And for what it's worth, there's a stuck spot behind these crystals, so don't ever try to jump on those crystals to get out of the ravine. Just keep running by that trash. And we're just going to circle up to the and work back across the south side of this. Ignore this trash here. We're going to go across this bridge. We're going to go north across this bridge. Clear your stacks whenever you see runes. Make sure your energy heat is going. And I'm just checking to see if this puzzle was done, and it was. Notice in the upper right hand corner it says reset all control point pairs 4 left. Those are the puzzles that we're doing now. That one's already been done. Don't forget to clear your stacks. I also want to show you, ignore this trash here, that there's a shrine here. The shrine is reusable on normal. You can use it every 15 minutes on normal, which can be really handy if you have things aren't going well or something and you need to sort of reset. Okay, let's go back. Clear your stacks by running over runes. Ignore this priest. He won't follow us. Here's another puzzle that Stash is doing. Thank you, Stash. The rest of us can go over the wall in the back. If you need a jump, just let me know. You can ignore the trash that's on the top of the wall and just go over to the other side. Clear your stacks. The puzzle over here is already done. Thank you, whoever did that. If there's anybody lost at any point, you're not sure what to do, you're not sure, you get separated from us, just speak up. But it looks like we're all together right now, generally. Oh, Dito's way over there. I'm gonna go get Dito. Dito, go back south across that bridge. Turn back around and go the other way.
Hey, why don't you stay with the main group, and I'll go get him.
Okay. Thank you. Alright, I want all the new folks to be in the northwest corner, where I am. Oh, looks like most of you are already there. Perfect. Down this ramp, up the chute, up the air jet that toggles on and off. Some trash mobs up here, which have already been taken care of, and 2 puzzles. Plenty of runes to clear your stacks. Don't forget to keep your energy sheath going. Tharissa, were you in the wall over there?
Yeah, I fell down into a little pit.
Oh, look at that. I've never noticed this.
I was like, oh no, I'm gonna be stuck.
Alright, these two puzzles are done, so we can go back down the chute. If the air jet's on, just wait for it to toggle off. Take about 10 seconds. And after we go down this chute and back up the ramp, we're going to start heading south down the west side. Down Ignore the trash. We're going to go across this pillar bridge. You can see there's a rune pillar down at the north end of, or excuse me, the west end of this ravine that Stash is standing on to light the runes. To open up this puzzle here, which just opened. And we need somebody to do that. If one of the new folks want to do this puzzle, go for it. If you need to clear your stacks while you're doing it, there's a rune right behind you. And everybody else can start heading south. Clear your stacks by running over runes. So Bolo's standing on this one to light up all the runes so that this puzzle will open. Let's not go ahead yet, guys. We got a puzzle back here that needs to be done. Quick, you got that one, thank you. Everybody else can continue south. We're going to go across this bridge. And I want to point out that if you look on the map, you're going to see like a twisty, dead-end kind of a maze right here. It's a little bit of a noob trap, because you come across this bridge and you think, oh, we're going to go straight, but it's just a long, windy dead end that's meant to trap you. So don't go down there. As soon as we get across this bridge, we make an immediate right turn heading west. Looks like everybody's here. Ignore that trash. Wide stick is right behind us. He'll turn it. Now this pillar does not actually have to be lit up. I think this is here just in case somehow you get over here and you get trapped and you need to open up the gate from this side. But once the gate's open, which opens from the other side, that one and this one don't need to be done.
Doesn't this pillar activate the jet though?
Well, this very last pillar does, not the two previous ones. Go ahead and take the air jet up.
Go ahead and take it.
And I don't know why I haven't noticed it in my buff bar, but there should also be a buff that says, I think it's Eye of the Storm. There it is. It looks like the symbol for the Druid spell, Storm of Vengeance. It's green. And it's counting down. And when that counts down, I believe we're going to get like a bunch of lightning strikes all at once. And then it'll just reset and count down again. See, these are the last two puzzles that need to be done. He says reset all control point pairs, one left. And all the puzzles are now done. What we like to do now is just D-door back to the start, just because it's a little bit of a shortcut. So go ahead and take the D-door, but don't go into the rest of the raid yet. I want to know if anybody has any questions about any part of the raid so far. Yep, that's actually what we're going to be doing now. We're going to go to the shrine now. So go ahead and go back in. You don't need to buff because we're all just going to go shrine up. Go straight back in. Straight ahead into the arena. Then right out the east side. Notice that the wind has stopped, so you can jump now without getting blown around. Out the east side, then we're going to turn left and go north to the shrine. If you didn't want it, if you missed the detour, you could just run to the shrine. It's just, like I said, a little bit of a shortcut. Helps keep people together. Not all groups will do it this way. I haven't pugged this raid out very much. I remember when it first came out, it seemed like it might make sense. Wide stick will turn that trash. It seemed like it might make sense to have teams split up and do the puzzles, and like one team start in the other corner, but I think I've heard that when you split people up out here, it just causes more trash to spawn and becomes problematic. So we like to keep the group together. As you saw, we were moving pretty quickly from puzzle to puzzle. Go ahead and shrine up, but don't buff yet, please. Once everybody's shrined up, go ahead and detour. And then we're going to gather at the start by the skeleton where we buffed in the beginning. Go ahead and start buffing. Turn on your energy sheath. If there are any questions from the people watching the live stream, please let me know. We're going to be heading to the final fight. We're going to be heading to the final fight next. So we're going to go in, we're going to go right back up the air jets to the main platform, and we're going to fight the blue dragon. And she's going to be back at full health. We need to beat her down to 0 and we win. She has no special moves this time beyond what she had originally, so it's just more of the same. It's just like that original beatdown, except all the way down to 0. She's going to do the yellow runes, the circle runes, so she's going to summon trash, etc. Any questions before we go in there? Someone watching the live stream said that under shelter is a cover effect, and they are correct. So if you are like at the shrine, you would have noticed that there was a buff in your buff bar that said under shelter. You can also get that when you're underneath the main platform. I'm not sure if I see it here, but in any event, if you're under shelter, then your stacks of vulnerability can time out. They won't just suddenly disappear, but they will time out. So that can be one way to get rid of your stacks of vulnerability if you have no other good way. Let's go ahead and go in. Bolo's going to tank for us. There is a bug in this raid that sometimes you can get into an air jet and it will continue to blow you up and up and up and you'll never stop. And even when you get out of the raid and you appear in the marketplace, you will keep floating up and up and up and you'll never stop. There is no fix for that as far as I know other than just relogging. And if that happens to you, you're probably going to get tossed out of the raid and you'll lose your loot. It's happened to me once, it's happened to my guildies several times. What did you say, Bolo?
I'm off the platform, I got blown off.
Oh, okay.
If you get that, can you log out of it? Back in to reset. Okay, I'm gonna try to reposition the dragon.
Somebody told me that you can, that you can quickly shut down the game and then come back in and you you might still be in the raid and not floating anymore. So that's definitely worth trying. Is shutting down your
I have
client,
tried.
getting back in.
I have tried out what's happened to me, and it worked one time, but not the second time.
You broke
So
up.
maybe a timing issue.
What did you say?
I tried doing what was just suggested, logging out when that rising bug happened to me, and it worked one time, but not the second time, so it may be some sort of timing issue as far as when you log out.
Okay. If you can't see her hit points, she has a cool 5 million hit points on normal, 7.5 million on hard, and 10 million on elite. I've never done this on elite. I do know that there is a large air elemental, a very large air elemental that floats around the platform on elite. It looked like it could generally just be ignored. It didn't seem to do a whole lot as long as you weren't messing with it. But I don't know for sure. Casters and range tunes on trash. Yellow collapse and circles are coming up. So I want to mention a mechanic that took me a long time to understand in this raid. That you can get stacks of vulnerability while you're up here in the platform. And they would disappear, and I never really understood how to get rid of them while you were up here. I know that you can go under the platform, but there's trash mobs down there that you can just generally ignore them because we don't need to be down there. But you can go down there to clear your stacks. Yellow collapse. But the way you're up here and you can clear your stacks is by collapsing on the dragon, because she acts as like cover, and you can just let your stacks of vulnerability time out. But if you don't need to do that, you can just back off the dragon. So you can see there's my stacks of vulnerability, and it should just time out. Counts down. Oh, now I just got another stack. But let's see what happens. I'm gonna stay here for the live stream. She's check. So it's about to time out. Let's see what happens. Yeah, and it's gone because I stayed on the dragon. But if I was out, that wouldn't have timed out. Trash coming up, yellow collapse, circles coming up.
Yellow.
So this is where this end fight becomes problematic, is like what just happened. She does all of her special moves at once. The circles, the yellow, you got trash, people are falling into the circles and dying, you got attrition. There's actually a death timer, even on normal. And so people can't be raised right away. When you start getting to a certain level of attrition, it can be very challenging to recover from. So that's where this end fight can become especially problematic. Like I said, you can always, if it's an emergency, you can always grab stones, D-door back to the start. The dragon will regenerate if there's, nobody up here. And she regenerates pretty quickly, but, if it's an emergency, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. And if 15 minutes were to go by, everybody's out of mana, you could just go back to the shrine and regroup and try again. Yellow in circles. I encourage the new folks to stand in the circles. Now is a good time to see what that feels like. It's not too bad on normal. I'm taking for in the 30s right now. So it's not like it's going to kill you instantly. But if you had low hit points and low mitigation, yellow, or it was a higher difficulty, then it can, start to add up quickly. In case you didn't know, shield blocking will prevent you from getting thrown back by the wing buffet. Yellow and circles collapse. So remember, 3 clutch things: electrical damage mitigation, clear your stacks of vulnerability, collapse on yellow. You get your group to do those 3 things, you should be in pretty good shape. And those are the things, if groups aren't doing those things, then that's when you get RSOs that are just res fests. Because people, they don't mitigate the electrical damage, they're not clearing their stacks, they're not collapsing on yellow, and it can be a mess. Any questions in the live stream? Because this is about to wrap up. This sickle that I'm using, and I just chose a sickle because I think sickles look cool. I don't swing this to do any melee damage. I have intelligence just because it helps with spellcraft, and I have 2 tiers of absorption just for this raid, and it's also configured to be a legendary vacuum weapon, which adds stacks of vulnerability. Just wanted to show that. It's not my normal weapon. Not anymore anyways. I was using it prior to Reaper mode, but now that we have Reaper mode, I prefer my I think it's triple positive. Anyways, I got a whole bunch of heal amp, 100 heal amp on my main weapon now.
Yeah, I fell off, or got blown off of 20 stacks.
20 stacks is hard to survive. Congratulations on your first riding the storm out for some of you. I'd like one of the first timers to help themselves to the chest. Any one of the first timers, go ahead and open up the chest. There's a funny bug or something that when you repeatedly press block, you'll get struck by lightning a bunch of times, so that's what was happening there at the end. Sometimes we do that just for fun. This is a legendary raid, so like all legendary raids, you're going to get runes in the end chest. You need 1,250 of those to buy the loot from the raid giver. And this is, congrats on the bracers, those are real nice. Actually,
Well, I got some bracers.
wear those on this tune.
I got better equipment than that, though, so I don't know what to say.
I'll put it up for a roll.
Anybody want it?
Oh, put it up for roll if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah, for the Arm of the Aggressor guys, dive 100 high. That'll be good.
That's what I'm wearing on this tune. It's the Arm of the Aggressor. Sadly, I don't have a mythic version. Big Intimidate, big Constitution. That was the highest Constitution in the game until Ravenloft. Now we have plus 19 items. I think there's one plus 20 item, but that's a healing trinket.
Well, looks like Brace gets it, but he's dead.
How did Braze die? I have no idea.
That's special feat.
Oh, you jibbered up. There's the shrine right behind you, Braze, so when you're ready, just hit it. Congrats on winning the bracers. Even on normal, this raid will typically drop 1 or 2 items, but we've seen 3 or 4 even on normal, so it's not as stingy as some of the other raids were when they came out, like Mark of Death, for example. Well, guys, that's the whole raid. Any questions before we wrap it up? Oh, you're very welcome, dude.
Yeah, thanks, Ginger. It was awesome.
Thanks for coming, Kill. There'll be another one next week. I always post details in the Sarlona forum, so check that out if you're interested. I'm not sure what raid we're doing next week, but like I said, watch the Sarlona forums.
Yeah, I'm good on most of them. I just don't know this one very much.
Well, I'm glad you could make it. thanks for coming out, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and break. Congrats on your first completions. And you guys have a great night. Don't forget to turn it in. Take care, everyone.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for coming, dude. Okay, live streamers, that is all. I'm going to go ahead and shut down the live stream now. I'm going to monitor chat for about 5 minutes, so if there are any last minute questions, I will respond to those in chat, but I'm shutting down the live stream now. Thanks for watching and have a great night.